I think that when we are celebrating the American Revolution, I think we should almost also simultaneously be mourning the American Revolution as the beginning of an end to indigenous control of our territory.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
In 2026, Americans across the United States are celebrating the nation's 250th birthday. But for Indigenous people, this milestone represents the biggest land grab in history and centuries of continued attempts to erase Indigenous culture and people.
Land, I think, lies at the core of it all, because the United States is a nation built on Indian land. That's not some kind of radical reinterpretation of American history. That's just a foundational fact.
You just heard from Colin Calloway, a Native American Studies professor at Dartmouth College. ICT reflects on the role Indigenous people have played in the creation and establishment of the very nation determined to erase them, a role that has for too long been ignored. One prime example being the truth behind the nation's very own Constitution, which was directly inspired by the Haudenosaunee or Six Nations Great Law of Peace.
The Founding Fathers had never seen a working confederacy of nations, ever. They had dreamt about it, they had heard about it, they had thought that this or that might be that, but nothing had been like that in Europe. It had never happened. And the first confederacy of Native nations they met and experienced, they did in this country and in our countries.
That was Suzanne Schoen Harjo, a Cheyenne and Muskogee writer and activist. And if you're still doubtful, here's Emerson Shenandoah, director of the Great Law of Peace Center, with more.
Yeah, so the Haudenosaunee Confederacy operates underneath a council system. So we have every nation, the Seneca, the Cayuga, the Tuscarora, the Onondaga, the Oneida, and the Mohawks. We all have our own council for our own nation that is made up of clan mothers and chiefs, so women and men, who make decisions in tandem together for the good of that community. And so it's more of a small, big government, big, small government, if that makes sense. Every nation governs themselves and no one tells another nation what to do, but we all come together with the Grand Council where all of the leadership from the nations come together in Onondaga and gather, every once in a while to make decisions that will affect all of the Confederacy.
This concept sounds familiar, right? It's the idea that a government structure is formed by several independent nations coming together as one to advocate on behalf of all. And it's an idea that founding father Benjamin Franklin himself learned directly from the Haudenosaunee people, a fact he remarked in several letters penned in the mid to late 1700s prior to the Declaration of Independence. And we can't forget the infamous way in which the Declaration of Independence references America's original inhabitants.
The merciless Indian savages.
What's really interesting is in that last complaint, right, about merciless Indian savages, right, Indian people are set aside as being different and not part of the polity. And that's carried forward into the Constitution, into the 3/5 clause.
You're hearing from Phil Deloria, a Yankton, Dakota history professor at Harvard University.
And the Commerce Clause and all these things. So there's these ways in which Native people are within the structure of American politics, are outside the structure of American politics. And yet, as we know, the whole story of the post-revolution of the 19th century is about the incorporation of Native people within American jurisdiction, within American law, all of these things, to the point where you get, the Marshall decisions and the idea of domestic dependent nations and a trust responsibility. So what the history has given us in the years after the revolution is, what's really a novel political form, right? Tribal governance that is both, sovereign and has trust kinds of relations. And, You just don't find this anywhere else in the world.
And when it came to the American Revolution, many native tribes fought on opposite sides. Some fought in support of the crown, hoping it would mean an eventual return of their lands, while others fought against the crown. Some switched sides. And here's Naligan Abenaki historian Margaret Bruchac with more.
Whether it was between the US and Britain or the US and Canada or the US and whoever, so that Native people carried forward that ethos of offering themselves in military service to save their family, their community, and the nation they felt they owed loyalty to. Sadly, I don't think that the American nation has ever really repaid that loyalty in kind. I think that all veterans, not just Native veterans, are very poorly treated. And I think that war is an incredibly dangerous choice at any level. So even thinking back to this moment in time when we are simultaneously celebrating the American Revolution, I think we should almost also simultaneously be mourning the American Revolution as the beginning of an end to indigenous control of our territory. Because with the success of the American Revolution, that gave the American government in some way license to go further, to push further westward.
Erasing Indigenous people from their role in the American Revolution is just one example of the lengths that the United States has gone to systematically remove Indigenous people, not just from the narrative, but from their homelands, lands that have been at the center of this struggle since the Pilgrims first arrived on the Wampanoag Confederacy's homelands in 1620. Throughout these past 250 years, whether America wanted to acknowledge it or not, Native people have continued to fight. Native people have persisted, and Native history is much longer than the 250-year history of the United States. From biological warfare to missing and murdered Indigenous women, boarding schools, forced relocations, and the entire reservation system, tribes persevere in the face of genocide.
Well, because of my age and what I learned and went through, the country is good. America is good, but we have to have peace. We have to have equality. We don't see equality.
That's Pansy Tubles, an Oglala elder and boarding school survivor.
I remember when my hair got cut in boarding school and feeling that scissor and listening to the cutting. And I remember also the first day they came after me for boarding school and they took me from my grandma. I don't hate America or anything, but there needs to be more equality in this country. And for natives, we see the inequality more than maybe other non-natives.
We are still here today as the United States prepares for its 250th birthday. Sure, the fight looks different today, but it never ended. Just like Indigenous people, it's adapted to defending language, land, sovereignty, and more. For ICT, from Anishinaabe, Ho-Chunk, and Menominee homelands, I'm Amelia Schaefer.
They came from all over the world to witness history, the 150th anniversary of the victory at Greasy Grass, known to most Americans as the Battle at Little Bighorn. It was a resounding defeat of Lieutenant Colonel George Armstrong Custer and the 7th Cavalry. The governor of the Cheyenne-Arapaho tribe in Oklahoma, Reggie Wasana, reflects on history.
How we got here today and what happened today 150 years ago on the 25th and 26th of June. This was actually a two-day event that happened up here. And George Armstrong Custer was defeated here in this area. If he had won and we were defeated, where would we be today? Where would the tribes be? Some tribes would be successful, some tribes would be diminished. But not only that, if George Armstrong Custer became president, what would happen to the Europeans coming to America?
The National Park Service estimated that 10,000 people visited the Battlefield National Monument. The Cheyenne-Arapaho brought 2 buses up for the event. Here's Luella Oldbear and Carol Whiteskunk.
We're very proud to be here and humbled that our relatives suffered for us or to honor our ancestors and how strong they were, and they survived. We're still here.
The Northern Cheyenne tribe joined the Oceti-Sakowee, the Seven Council Fires, or the Lakota, Dakota, and Nakota tribes at a camp on land owned by the Reelbird family, who are of the Crow tribe. Oglala Lakota President Frank Starr comes out, talks about how once traditional enemies, the Crow tribe, is now a friend.
So I was able to sit down, come make a trip up here, and set up a meeting with co-chairman, and we sat down. We had a good meeting. We would like to support each other in this 150th anniversary. So we made that connection, and I do learn a lot from them. You know, the real birds. I do have relatives up here, and I found out we have more relatives up here than we expected. You know, so there's that connection there, and there's always been. But just by the over the generations, maybe during stories that misinterpreted, I don't know. We were enemy at one time, because I'm hearing stories that we're interconnected, and we have relatives with the Crow Nation and the tribes here coming here, and then welcoming us here to their homeland. So it's been great.
Frank Whiteclay is the chairman of the Crow tribe.
Oh, this is historic. Hasn't been seen for 150 years. It's great coming together, and I believe it's a great time of unity, and for all the Red Nations coming together and celebrating a victory, and also a step forward to unifying all the nations to speak on we all have similar issues, and we all have treaties, and calling on the U.S. government to uphold those treaties that were promised to us long ago. As Native people, we're all resilient, we're all strong, and we need to come together to uphold our voice and let the world know that we're still here, and we'll continue to be here as long as there's still blades of grass.
They came on foot, on motorcycle, and horses, many horses. Terry Richards was one of the parents on the horse journey.
We got a relic that was passed down to us by our grandmother. It was High Wolf. Our grandfather, High Wolf, he fought in this battle along with his mother and his brother and his father. They all fought here. They all followed Sitting Bull to Canada and came back. There's lots of stories on High Wolf. He signed the treaty, 1868 treaty for the Black Hills, the treaty land. And they were lied to, so he came out to fight for the land and the country, way of life. We're happy to have this here today. My son's been riding in this for probably 15 years since they were little. So it's good to be back here, the 150th anniversary.
Kiliani Lovell from the Yankton tribe rode horse up from Crow Creek, South Dakota.
I did it for fun at the start, but then I slowly got reasons. I ride for my family, my passed away relatives, and mostly for my grandpa, because my grandpa used to love riding horse when he was younger.
Delraul St. Clair has been on many rides to honor his Lower Brule relatives.
I love horses. I really love horses. I love everything about it. Makes me feel proud of myself and the young ones that are riding. We got a lot of young ones, and that makes me feel good about my tribe. I got a couple of my cousins with me. They ride horse. They love horse. We got a 9-year-old or 8-year-old actually. He rides horse, and he's pretty good at it too. He knows how to hang on, knows how to ride, he knows how to run, knows how to do everything.
A few miles southwest of the battlefield, the Reelbird family hosts a reenactment of the battle. It only occurs once a year on the battle anniversary with thousands in attendance to watch 200 actors on horseback relive history. Shawnee Railbird carries on the tradition from her father.
My dad used to paint, and now I paint, and it makes me really happy because these are all my brother to my family, and getting to do it is just, it's fun. It's a lot of fun, and it's awesome to do the different designs and all the different things that I've had to learn along the way. And I studied a lot, and I've done a lot of different, just kind of talking with elders about what different things mean to them. And then I try whenever I'm painting them to know the boy enough, because I've grown up and I'm so much older than them. I've known them since they're little boys. And so like Gakri, I've known for a long time. And so I know how to paint him and all these things. And so I take a lot of pride in getting to know each boy as they're getting older. A lot of them started as village people, as kids in the village. And then now here they are, and they're young men with families and good lives and trying to go out and do good for themselves. And so it's really important that every year I get to paint them. So I get to kind of, it's like how people mark on their doors how tall their kids are growing. It's like getting to see that and watching them become better and better horsemen and young men, and then eventually sometimes they bring their babies and they're walking up with them. And so that all comes from my dad and what he taught me and getting to watch him paint growing up. And so it's a family affair, family matter for the Railbirds.
Fawn Red Wolf and Kennedy Big Lake participate every year.
Honestly, when I first started, I did it to get a couple bucks, and then I just started doing it just because I love it. I just do it just to do it every year. I never miss it.
My mom likes doing this because she did it when she was younger, about 40 years ago, and then like 30, 20 years ago. So yeah, she just put us in here because she grew up with it and I grew up around it.
Ron Brew comes down from the Mandan, Hidatsa, and Arikara lands in North Dakota to visit his Crow relatives.
I'm Mandan, Hidatsa. Belong to the, my clan is Nakanawe, 3 clans, and Mitzi, Knight clan. And so I come up there every year because they've held, the Crows have held our tradition together. Well, not a lot of places we're losing our language and our tradition, so they completely have me right up here. So I come up there every year, twice a year to their events. Because when they left, they broke off from our tribe way long time ago. So our languages are the same, so I can understand about half of what they say. When they ask you if you're, they ask you how are you, they say shoda. We say dosha. So they change the dialect a little bit, so you can hear a lot of it, you know.
Pearl Slow Bear and her grandmother, Pansy Tubal's Weasel Bear, came to honor their relatives who fought in the battle.
I have a great-great-grandpa who participated in the Battle of Little Bighorn. He just goes by Tatankanupa or Tubals. I'm thankful because he survived. He survived, and we're here. Coming here, you could feel, you could feel something. You could feel their spirit. Even being in the camp where they camped, you could still feel them there. And I brought my family, and I told them the story, and I told them we need to take sage because we need to burn it and remember what you're here for.
It kind of feels good hearing my grandma's stories because it's like history to me. And in school, I love history. And sometimes when I feel the spirits around us, I don't get scared or freak out or tell anybody. I know that's our ancestors. So then I'm grateful for them for surviving for us and fighting for us.
For ICT from the homelands of the Crow, Northern Cheyenne, and Lakota, I'm Shirley Snavy.
For 2 weeks, Menominee tribal citizens Wayne Sweat and Don Wilbur have chipped, burned, debarked, and shaped this large pine tree into a vessel which was used by indigenous people across the North American woodlands for thousands of years.
We plan on taking it down the river. Wow. That's history in the making. When was the last time a Menominee made a dugout canoe on the Menominee River and used it? It's making a statement. We're making history.
Sweat and Wilbur are preparing to take their dugout canoe down the Menominee River over the 4th of July weekend as part of an annual canoe journey.
Ine akain skiu moka hatuko ine to tamawasa. Ine skiu eki no Menominee kihi o Menominee ki awe ine shinabe kwe madewe kwe endao. Just sitting here and imagining what my ancestors may have done back then, scraping at it and putting in hard work. And I mean, I wake up in the middle of the morning or late at night and my legs are sore, and I'm like, I don't hardly walk, I'm like from there to there. But it's a lot of work, it really is, and it's a suffrage of sort, to try to do this and bring it back to this area, because we don't know when the last time a Menominee built a dugout canoe on this river. Well, this year we can say in 2026.
And the canoe is about to embark on that very historic journey. From July 3rd through 6th, a group of Indigenous people will paddle this boat and others for 48 miles down the river, starting at 60 Islands Archaeological Site and ending at the mouth of the Menominee River, which is the birthplace of the Menominee people. For roughly 2 weeks, Wilbur and Sweat, who are part of the grassroots organization Protectors of the Menominee River, have camped at the Chappie-Webster Learning Center just north of Menominee, Michigan, working on the canoe.
First thing we had to do was debark it. So that took a good day. I think it took us, if I remember correctly, about 8 hours just to debark it. Wow. Yeah, and it was a massive log to start out with. I really have to say it was a pretty spiritual moment when I first lit the first fire. Meeting with the grandfather, son, kind of brought me and pulled me into lighting it in the evening. We burned it that night probably for about 4 or 5 hours. Yeah, and it got a good little divot in it, and it was the most amazing campfire that I think that I ever sat around.
Well, we set the log up on some smaller logs. Then I'll take the top third, and cut it straight across. That'll make our coal bed, so we could start burning in that. So that's where we put our logs, certain positions in that to get that going. So then after that, it's just making coals, building fires, making coals, moving coals around, letting them do their job, letting gravity and the heat force the sap down to make a watertight seal.
Awesome. Building the canoe has provided an opportunity to connect with their Menominee culture and traditional homelands.
It's good. It's makes me feel happy. My heart feel happy. It makes me feel overall good. When we go down the river, the first 2 days, I like to reconnect and put myself in a time frame about what it was like back in the day, where the river used to be the highway. There used to be no roads. There used to be animal trails. Those used to be the roads, the animal trails through here. And then that used to be the highway, canoes, boats. Those were the family car back then.
The construction has been a community effort and a teaching experience. The pine tree log used to create the canoe was donated by Menominee Tribal Enterprises, and every day new folks come out to watch history in the making.
The canoe that we're building today, this week, these 2 weeks, are what we learned from the Mashantucket Pequot, which are Anishinaabe Algonquin tribe. So they're like a sister tribe to us, so learning from them is almost as good as learning from our ancestors. Yeah.
So they put us up in the hotel and we went to school, and we were just absorbing all the information that we could get on that, asking all kinds of questions. We took all that information, come back, and then we started planning on building this one, and this one finally is coming to fruition.
And now they're using that new experience to teach others about this historic water vessel and their Menominee homelands. Some of the students include teenagers from the Menominee Tribal High School.
So that was a teaching moment for them. I advised them that they're the next generation of water protectors. So now that we ran them through, we invited everybody else to come check it out. And it's a teaching moment for everybody, because history is being made.
Sweat said that the annual canoe journey is healing in more ways than one.
Every time I come down this river, I suffer from PTSD, so it's a grounding for me. So it keeps me grounded, and I wouldn't have it any other way like this, because it's beautiful here. This is our creation spot. This is where the Menominees were born.
For ICT from Menominee Homelands, I'm Amelia Schaefer.